Here, and hold on, let me get this right. Now, it amazed me because today, one of the things that I've actually been trying to do this video for the last, I want to say at least since 11, 12 o'clock last night. And 3 times today, this video, hell, you can go look now and see that it's not allowing me to actually, oh shit, I forgot I had it on and on. It's not allowing me to actually just go through the video, and I'm trying to figure out why, what's going on here. However, as you can see, the title is the Kyren Lacy incident, and I'm uncovering the truth. Now, the reason why I actually want to come up and do this is simply because, hold on, let me do it. Shit. Hold on. The fuck? There's nothing in there. There we go. All right. So, like I was saying, what got me to really want to do the live show is because when I posted my response to the video that surfaced originally, which the young man that had put it out showed that Kyren wasn't at the accident. He showed up, I want to say, he was 72 yards behind the accident. Well, it later came out that the police was like, oh, hold on. No. He caused the accident because he was passing cars. Okay. I'm going to give you that. Yes, there's a video was showing Kyren driving, I believe, at a rate of 80 and a 45, where he was passing people. Absolutely. There was even people that say, I put up the video, it's being premature after that video was put out. Here's the thing that gets me. The idea that every time I talk about the way media shows who to be mad at, how to be mad at them, and when to stop being mad at them, and they're programming the belief in something. They are programming people to actually believe that they are correct. And I'm going to go through today because I'm going to say some things that's going to go against everything you believed, everything that you've been shown on various TikToks. Because even the point where they were like, oh, he must apologize. I'm going to ask a question. If someone is behind you or something is behind you and never comes in contact with you, how does it affect you? Because even in the context of Kyren in this situation, the young lady had no knowledge of Kyren behind her. She was avoiding the person she hit because they came into her lane. They came into her lane. Now, how Kyren is at fault for that? Let's get into it, because I want you to use these ears, because you got 2 of them, and I want you to use this because it's the biggest muscle that you got. Now, again, good evening. I'm SupremeDecisions, and today I'm going to talk about this troubling case with Kyren and the death of 78-year-old Herman Hall in December of 2024. Why? Because Herman Hall, who was 78, died in the accident that Kyren was charged with. And that also led to Kyren's arrest. From the outset, Lacy was accused by Louisiana State Police of causing this accident, even though he was nowhere near anyone and being able to have any type of causation. But we're going to show with every fact and every video, the frame paints a different picture and one of an innocent man. You see an attempt to coerce witnesses by Tyler Warner, or Trooper Tyler Warner. And the police narrative that does not hold up nor make sense. And our justice system relies on facts, not assumptions. So let's examine the case step by step, listen to the actual evidence, and see why the initial police report or police story may not be what it seems, even with the new video. Right? So I'm gonna give you a little backstory. December 2024, the crash and initial police narrative. Listen to what I'm just saying. The initial police narrative. Late 2024, LSU wide receiver Kyren Lacy was behind the wheel of a lime green Dodge Charger. Now, that's a problem. Just want you to know that's a problem. That lime green, that's a problem. Anyway, you know, that's his thing. Lime green Charger. Anyway. Now, he was on Highway 20 near Crack Bay or Track Bay. State troopers later claimed that Lacy was speeding, even passing four vehicles, including an 18-wheeler and a no passing zone. And his reckless operation triggered the events leading to the crash. He passed four vehicles and an 18-wheeler. We're going to concede that. There's video of him doing that, yes. He had not gotten to the crash yet. He had not gotten to the people who were involved in the crash. Now, as Lacy's Charger approached, the northbound pickup truck in front braked and veered off the road, and the driver behind the wheel swerved left, colliding with the Kia carrying Herman Hall. The troopers initially emphasized that Hall's death occurred when the Kia struck a Kia Sorento, and they pressed charges against Lacy for negligent homicide, hit and run with death and reckless operation. Lacy never left the scene, so it couldn't have been a hit and run. Lacy was nowhere near the crash at the time that it happened. So how was he charged with negligent homicide? Because again, the original narrative was he was 72 yards away when the crash happened. Now, there's a new video up since I can't use my computer. I'm going to post on my channel where the special prosecutor states that he was more than 120 yards away, which is more than a football field. I'm gonna say that again. He was more. Someone else who's on their team said, no, he was more than 120 yards away. So even putting together the fact that he could have possibly done something is a horrible fake narrative, because you're trying to, his aura was so big that he controlled the aspects of someone else, and you're saying that this truck veered off to the wrong side of the road because they saw something more than a football field lengths away from them. Don't worry, I'm gonna let you go ahead and catch up on that one. Now, even media outlets echo this official account. Why? Because we're taught to believe police officers. I'm going to say that one more time. We're taught to believe police officers, so they actually believed it. Now, for example, ESPN quoted state police insisting that although Lacy's charger never impacted any of the involved vehicles, their investigation supports the conclusion that Lacy's reckless operation triggered the chain of events, ultimately resulting in the fatal crash. Ready? He never was close to it, but his actions created that by more than a football field away. Now, the police say Lacy's driving set off deadly crash, but here's the critical question. Did it? Because remember, he's more than a football field away. This isn't Lacy's defense attorney who said this. This isn't the police who said this. This isn't even Lacy that said this. I'm repeating what their special prosecutor says. And again, since I can't use my computer, I'm going to post it on the channel. Understand that. Now, the biggest question here is, should we accept a police report at face value, especially when new evidence is telling a different story, or even if we should ever accept it? That's the question. And my whole model is telling everybody, from the start to the finish, you challenge everything. Why? Because no matter what we're doing or how we're doing it or what is said or how it's said, police don't have any authority until there's a crime. Police don't know what probable cause is. Malloy v. Hogan. Police can't tell you what to do absent a crime. Terryville, Ohio. I could go down a litany of things police can't do. Police are intelligent. They have the average IQ of 104. That's Jordan v. City of New England. These are things that I constantly preach. What's the number one cause of any police negligence? Oh, they're not trained properly, so they're not trained to solve anything. They're using stock language in these police reports, so they cannot tell the truth. So should we accept them at face value? That is the only question you need to ask yourself. Because again, just gave you a litany of things in which contradict any acceptance. Now, video timeline. The new surveillance footage released by Lacy's attorney shows Lacy's charger arriving at the crash site after the collision. At that moment, Hall's crash occurred. Lacy's car is still, this is from Lacy's attorney, 72 yards behind the other vehicles. So again, you have the vehicle that was behind the Kia, the Sorento. Lacy is at minimum 72 yards behind him. Because remember, there's 3 vehicles in between the crash and Lacy. 3. In other words, his vehicle isn't even in frame for several seconds after the crash. This directly contradicts the implication that he rapidly approached the scene at impact. I'm going to say that again. His vehicle isn't even in frame for several seconds after the crash. This directly contradicts the implication that he rapidly approached the scene at impact. He had 3 cars in between him and the crash, which his attorney calculated to be 72 yards. Again, I'm going to post a video where their special attorney said more than 120 feet. Now, passing in proximity. It's true, Lacy had illegally passed 4 cars. Because what did I say? I'm going to give you that. Yes, we do have a video showing him passing cars. Still hadn't gotten to anybody involved in the crash. But critically, He was already back in his proper lane before the crash even occurred. In fact, the Lafourche DA crash review found Lacy returned to his lane 92 yards before the accident. Technically, he's standing in the end zone. He's already back in his lane. So that now disqualifies someone turning out of their lane because of his actions. And again, this is on video that the prosecution had, the videos that the police had privy to. These are the things that they were doing or had access to at the time of the incident. The distance is well beyond what passing rules would require. The distance was well within law. Yes, he was speeding. Yes, he had passed these people. He was back in his lane, and he was within a lawful distance for doing so. The DA noted that if he had been a legal passing zone, Lacy would have been clear of the other vehicles by several car lengths, meaning he could not have affected them at the moment of the crash. This is the district attorney who's saying this, not Lacy's lawyer, not the special prosecutor. This is the district attorney and gives you yet another distance factor. So when you're saying 120, their DA is saying, no, he was 92 feet, 92 yards. He was back in his, at least, bare minimum, 92 yards back in his lane. So there was no obstruction. Almost a football field. Almost the length of a football field, right? Simply put, passing cars hundreds of yards before the crash did not or could not cause a crash that happened later down the road. Did not, could not, because he is literally over a football field away and back in his lane. He could not cause it. Now, the actual cause of the crash. The evidence shows, listen to what I just said, the evidence shows the collision was caused by the car behind the gold pickup truck, not Lacy's Charger. The prosecutor's review states, who did this? The prosecutor's review states that the Kia Sorento driver, which was the car that was in front of Hall. Remember, Hall is the person who died. The car that was in front of him was following too closely behind the truck when the truck went on brakes. The Kia swerved oncoming lane to avoid the truck, and that's when it slammed into Hall. That has nothing to do with Lacy. The driver of the truck that was in front of Hall that was in front of the young lady who said she was swerving to miss him, not somebody behind her. She was talking about the person that was in front of her. The person in front of her slammed on brakes. She swerved, hit Hall. Not the person behind her that's passing cars that she has no ideas around her. These are the lies that we are now for. Because again, not me, not Lacy's attorney, not someone that's just outside. This is their teammate. The prosecutor's review. There is no mention of Lacy or his charger causing this evasive maneuver. In fact, witnesses and the DA's analysis says that the Kia's driver swerved left to avoid the truck, not because of Lacy. The police framing of this as triggered by Lacy's driving simply doesn't match the crash evidence. And yes, I take notes. That's what I do. So this isn't something that I'm making up on the fly and just going off and just saying something willy-nilly. This is something that you can verify because it's online. I'm not saying this. Lacy's defense attorney isn't saying this. This comes from the DA, their review panel. The district attorney's review panel saying the police, this don't match. However, I'm going to say this too. They were ready to go with it until it became news. Just let that also sink in. They're not fully exonerated because they were okay with going with what the police said until eyes were on it. So they're not fully exempt, just like I talked about the other prosecutor, where the district attorney said, even though this evidence is damaged, even though it was not secured, which is required by law for it to be secured, this is an opportunity for people to have their case dismissed instead of dismissing the cases. But do you know why they give you the opportunity? Because most people accept what police say and don't challenge it. Because they operate from a place of fear, not from law. Challenge everything. And this is the greatest example of that. Because they were cool with going along with this police shenanigans until someone else saw it. Just let that sink in. Now, witness testimony. In body cam video from the scene, the pickup driver who blatantly tells troopers who arrived, that lady in the back of me, she didn't see what's happening. That's how she caused that wreck. Notice what they just said. She caused the wreck, not Lacy. In other words, he said it was the car behind him that caused Hall's crash, not a Charger. Critically, he never signed any written statements blaming Lacy. He walked away without signing. This is a critical contradiction to the police narrative because Trooper Tyler Warner was attempting to have him say Lacy did it when in fact his words, that lady in the back of me, she didn't see what's happening. That's how she caused the wreck. The lady even said, I swerved to miss him. Had nothing to do with the Charger. Had nothing to do with Lacy. Remember, they charged him with hit and run. He never left the scene. That was the first lie that Tyler Warner put in the police report. See how easy this goes? And this is also why they're not saying his name. Because this ain't the first time he's done this. And, let me get comfortable, get right. Because this is also not something new for the Louisiana police troopers. Because I'm going to give you another one. Matter of fact, let me go ahead and give it to you now. Because Ronald Green, probably haven't really heard that name because once it was found out that 4 troopers and a bystander now that I actually went and did the research on, 4 troopers from Louisiana State Troopers, you know, with Tyler Warner, that's where he's at. They chased Mr. Green. They beat Mr. Green to death on video. They thought they were cool because they were in control of their body cameras. They beat him to death. They then went to his wife and told her he had died in a car accident. It wasn't until almost 3 to 4 years later when one of the videos surfaced of them beating him. Then all of a sudden, one officer unalives himself. The other 3 officers go completely into lie mode. Why? Because this is a common practice of the Louisiana State Troopers. If it wasn't, why are we here with it now? What's going on right now? This is exactly what they do. And if you're in Louisiana and you're stopped by a trooper and you're not challenging everything that trooper writes, that's your fault. Because this is common practice. This is why no one was going to correct it. This is why the DA also was not going to correct it because most people are taught not to challenge it. And if you're not challenging what police are saying, you're accepting the lies and the BS that goes on with it. Now, and the fact that he actually had to walk away instead of blaming someone who was not involved lets you know where the mindset was. Because even more startling, attorney Matt Orr released body cam footage showing the trooper at the scene, which is Tyler Warner, trying to coach that witness. At one point, the officer can be heard attempting to recap what the driver said and telling him what to put in the written report. Tyler Warner was telling him what to write in the report. He was attempting to have him sign it, and when he wouldn't sign, he said, okay, in your report, put this. He was recapping. Basically, he was attempting to program like he wasn't involved. The passenger in Lacy's car, who was never even interviewed, was clearly shown on video exiting the Charger, and the police never questioned him about the crash. Because I guarantee you, most people have never even paid attention to that. There was someone else in Kyren's car. Police never bothered to talk to them. Why? That's what they do when they need everybody information that's in the car. They need everybody information that's involved. Why not? Why not? Because it's on video. Why is that not being brought up? Now, those actions suggest the trooper was shaping the evidence to fit a theory rather than objectively recording what actually happened. I paused for dramatic effect because I want you to understand exactly what it is that I'm saying and where I'm going with it. Now, because again, 2019 is when they had the Ronald Green incident. Troopers brutally beat Ronald Green until he was handcuffed and motionless. The troopers lied to cover up his death. They told his family he died in a car crash. They withheld video evidence and falsely blamed the crash to hide the truth. That cover-up was exposed only when body cam footage was leaked. The parallels are chilling. The black victim beaten, Green. The collateral, even in this case, is Mr. Hall. Troopers quick to blame a crash in both stories, and it shows why we must scrutinize police versions. Because, it was a crash who did it. We didn't beat the hell out of him and literally beat the life out of him. But we're okay with doing that because you're going to believe us because we're wearing a uniform. And you know what we say is truthful and honest because we're good people. Yeah, because I wanted you to see how stupid that sounds. I don't trust anything. Show me. I guess I'm from Missouri because I'm from the show me state. You have to show me. I don't believe anything. Especially I don't believe anything from anyone that is not intelligent. And I don't think someone putting on that uniform they have levels of intelligence, and I don't think they're at a level of intelligence which can tell me the truth. Why? Because they are all programmed to use stock language which does not allow them to be truthful. So if I know that they can't be truthful, why would I believe that they're writing the truth? That's literally a contradiction. And this is one of the reasons why I scrutinize and I say challenge everything, because they can't be honest. Now, each of these facts raises serious doubt. How could Lacy's driver have triggered the crash if he wasn't near the collision site when it happened? Why was the driver who actually caused the crash refusing to implicate Lacy or even openly contradict the police's line? And why would a trooper be caught on camera effectively directing a witness statement instead of reporting it as truthfully as possible? These are questions. These are questions designed to have you think and use this. Because if they are honest, why are you coaching? If you are investigating, why are you not talking to people that are actually involved in your investigation? Because this person got out of Lacy's car, you have no idea who it is because you never chose to speak with them. Why are you telling the people that was involved in something what they were involved in when they're completely coherent? These are questions that need to be asked, because it amazes me the amount of text messages and emails that I got last night. Oh, it's premature, yet I mentioned the video that they put up. I'm talking about the video in this because none of them matter. Being able to hear and listen and comprehend and then think for myself allows me the ability to then take the evidence which I'm hearing to make sense of it. Because yes, I can pass cars. But if someone tells me I swerved to miss someone who slammed on brakes, and the person who slammed on brakes said, yeah, the person behind me swerved, then the person that was swerving to miss me and hit someone else, those are causational factors. Because it has nothing to do with what's behind. Every reaction was based on the truck in front of the Kia slamming on brakes. You had the young lady go into another lane to avoid hitting him, end up hitting someone else and taking their life. That had nothing to do with Lacy. And you know why? That is the facts. Don't have to make it up. I'm reading their reports. I'm going on their information. I'm using their reasoning. Because this isn't something that will just happenstance or hyperbole. This is actually what it is, because I have the ability to do this and listen. And what we saw, that no witness truly blamed Lacy, despite police claims. In fact, one important witness, the driver of the pickup, was never willing to sign a statement blaming Lacy. That aligns with state police videos showing Lacy's Charger never contacted any of the vehicles involved. Why? Because he was behind them. Only fools trip over something that's behind them. Fabulous told us that in the 90s. And troopers have to admit that the Charger was off to the side as the crash unfolded. Why? Because Lacy pulled off to the side. Why? Because after the crash happens, because the truck in front of her slammed on brakes, see how we're rolling? The street was blocked. So Lacy pulled around. And remember, they said it was a hit and run. How do we get the person on video getting out of Lacy's car if he left? Whoops, and I guarantee you a lot of people missed that too. Because that's not a point of contention. That's not something where anybody's talking about. Because we love to focus on the need for them to be correct. When in fact, let's look at the evidence. Because now we have to then let it sink in that police lie. They create a story instead of actually following evidence. I'm going to say that one more time. Police create a story instead of following evidence, which is why they are wrong 2 out of every 3 times they make a decision. Exhibit A. This is one of the things I always talk about, because the only evidence linking Lacy to the crash was the force of the narrative by the police. The DA's own review pointed out the Louisiana State Patrol report had several inconsistencies used to reach their conclusion. Their teammates said, hold on, none of this makes sense. What you got on paper doesn't make sense. I can't even make it make sense. Hope they don't challenge it. Oh, they're challenging it. Now, I have to speak up about these inconsistencies because I'm going to do what? Cover my own ass. Because that's all this is. because we heard nothing contradictory until the challenge was made. And here's a point-by-point recap of what the evidence actually says versus what the state told the people and that ESPN ran with, because they're taught to believe police. No one actually went and did any research. This is what we're doing. Now, arriving after the crash, the charger isn't visible until after the crash happens. Lacy's vehicle only comes into frame roughly 3 seconds after the crash is recorded on surveillance video. That's really rapid, 3 whole seconds. Because I'm going to give you 3 seconds. Ready? Go. Now, if I'm in a car, and even if I'm traveling 40, because again, he was actually slowing down. Why? Because it was getting ready to come to a stop. So that time, that creates a lot of distance. Now we're going to go to the distance cushion. Lacy had returned to the southbound lane more than 90 yards before Hill's collision. The DA said 92. The special prosecutor says 120. Lacy's defense says 70. Evidence shows he was well back into the lane prior to anything happening. Because in fact, if you're going by time and distance, it's closer to 120 than it is 70. If you're going by time and distance. Now, and that distance is well beyond the minimum safe passing clearance, which means he was well within the guidelines of law in passing, meaning it was allowed. He would have been past the crash location before it happens. This is why the district attorney's report says Lacy would not have been responsible for the crash under these circumstances. Lie number 1, the actual collision cause. The crash was triggered by a car braking for a truck, not anything Lacy did. Investigators found that the Cardenza driver was tailgating the truck and swerved into oncoming traffic. Witnesses. On body camera, the pickup truck directly blames the young lady, not Lacy. That lady in back of me, she caused the wreck. The lady said, I swerved because he went on brakes. Had nothing to do with Lacy. The 2 people that was in the accident that lived. He braked. She was following too close. She swerves. She kills Hall. Lacy's behind her. Those are the facts. See how I didn't have to make anything up? I just read what was there. And I said what the people that were involved in said. Didn't have to make anything up. In other words, the officer was effectively writing a narrative when he said that he, meaning Lacy, was the cause of the accident. Because again, his aura was so big that he caused the truck in front of him that had nothing to do with him to slam on brakes. He caused the car that was behind that truck to swerve because his aura was so big to swerve in the oncoming traffic to hit someone. Hit Mr. Hall. These are the things that give you ground to challenge it. But here's the biggest problem. Every bullet above is drawn from authenticated reports and footage. It's clear that the video evidence and police reports on every key point clash. Yet media reports are often still pushing the old police version. I'll give you a great one. Ryan Clark, they made him apologize because he spoke up before they put up the video of the cars that Lacy passed, which had no causation or no causational effect on the crash itself. Why am I saying that? Because the people involved in the crash said it. The people who were involved in the crash, the man who slammed on brakes, the young lady who actually killed Mr. Hall, they corroborated it. They said, I slammed on brakes. She was following too close. She swerved into it. Nobody mentioned Lacy. The only people talking about Lacy were the cops. And even in the context, when ESPN carried the state police statement verbatim, emphasized that Lacy's driving triggered the train of events leading to Hall's death, and they're constantly making people, such as Ryan Clark, apologize for repeating facts. Just let that sink in. He repeated facts. He repeated what the district attorney said. ESPN said, oh, no, you better apologize. Because we have to deal with the police. The police are good folk. They're good peoples. Yet the police lied. Because the whole thing is, I want you to catch this now. I want you to stay focused. This is where this comes in now. Why would I even bring up Ronald Green in this situation? Because what happened to Kyren Lacy is not an isolated anomaly. The Louisiana State Troopers did this, only culminated with a beating to death of Ronald Green. They brutally beat him to death. Louisiana State Troopers. Why did they do it? They did this during a traffic stop. When Mr. Green died, those same troopers lied. They lied in their reports. They lied to Mr. Green's family. They even withheld video of the beating, going so far as to cover it up for 2 years. Federal investigations leaked body cam footage ultimately proved that Green's death was a homicide committed by police. Louisiana State Troopers. Yeah, the same ones that Tyler Warner works for. Which is why they don't want to say his name. If you watch other people that's making this video, they will not say his name. And it's amazing because they scrub. When I found his name, I went and looked up I looked up the arrests he's made. They're gone. I looked for photos. They're gone. Why are they hiding him if the police are the good guys? If the police narrative is correct, why are they now pulling everything that has to do with the police that are involved in this situation? Because again, this is not my thing. Go look for it. Go look. Because when I talk about this, Green's death was not an accident. They beat him to death at a traffic stop. Did Green attempt to leave? Absolutely. Because he was in fear for his life. He was in actual fear for his life, and they showed he had a right to be. But then, did they show the consciousness of guilt by hiding video? lying in reports, lying to his family, because they could have easily said, "Oh, he was fleeing arrest, and you know, we took him in kind of hard," if they were doing the right thing. Yes, I'm gonna say that if they were doing the right thing, they could say that. Now, this matters because it shows a pattern. Because remember, I talked about habitual evidence. It shows a pattern of behavior. Whenever a trooper's violence or error is questioned, the immediate reaction can be to blame the innocent factor or an accident rather than own up to the wrongdoing. They blame the car crash. They blame a dude that had nothing to do with it. Here's the crazy part. All they had to do was blame the young lady who swerved into the lane. They could have blamed the dude that slammed doing brakes. They created a narrative that everyone ran with because they don't want to do the simple thing that I did, which was actually go look. They just accepted the word of the police, who have a habit of lying. These are, again, not my words. It's on paper. It's written. Not by me, by their teammates. The district attorney said that. Because in Kyren's case, the Louisiana State Troopers has so far kept the narrative that he indirectly caused Hall's death by recklessly driving, yet, although the passing speed was high, lawfully he was back in his lane in enough clearance, legal clearance time, even though the evidence suggests otherwise. We must again ask, are we seeing the truth? Because it's generally not coming from police. Or is this a narrative or version? Or this is my favorite. This is the police truth that they're living in. It is not the truth, it's the police truth. They believe that they lied and need to cover it up, and then they need to hide. See, again, lie, cover up, hide. Do that sound like honesty? Don't worry, I'll let you answer that on your own. Because the Green case teaches us that exact same thing. They teaches us blind trust the police always puts us behind the 8 ball. Because see, now the importance of questioning narratives. When you're going into any type of legal defense, I impose you, or I implore you, to listen to the evidence, not just the story. Because I get this from Kevin Gates, anyone can say some nice stuff to you. But now start paying attention to what it is that's happening afterwards. Notice every detail. Pay attention. Because again, I'm doing an investigation. You always hear the police tell you, everybody in the car, they need to identify. Why? Because they got to go into their report. Why is there no mention? Because again, it was a hit and run by Kyren. That's what he was charged with. Why do we see on video somebody getting out of his car that we don't know who it is? Because they didn't do an investigation. Why are you coaching someone that was involved in the accident when they gave you a different story of what happened? Why are you coming up with a story at all when everyone that you're speaking to is coherent? When a surveillance video is released, watch it. Because like I said, the great part about it, young man told me, well, it's premature. You shouldn't say that because it's premature. They showed the new video. Yes, they showed a video of him passing cars. There's also the video that was released where the man slams on brake The young lady attempts to swerve, like she said, into the lane and kills Mr. Hall. Then, as you say, 3 seconds after that, Lacy pulls into the scene. Yeah. That's what we're doing. That's what I look at. That's what I see. That's what I hear. That's what I'm paying attention to. Because everybody else's story matches except for the police officer. Because you ready for the tee? The man who slammed on brakes is going in the same direction that Lacy is. He don't know Lacy's behind him because he wasn't slamming on brakes for that reason. And you got a young lady that's tailgating him. He was never asked, why did he slam on brakes? Let that also sink in, because it's not always what's there, it's what's not there. Because that question would have been asked if they were trying to find out the truth, if they were truly investigating, if they actually used this. But the lack of this allowed them to create a narrative that everyone ran with, because we're taught to just believe everything they say and do as correct. But we know from Ronald Green, that's not plausible. Because if we do, we're co-conspirators with them. We're accepting that what they're doing is okay. Now we're going to evaluate the witness statements. What did the eyewitness actually say on camera? In our case, an on-site witness immediately blames the driver behind him, not Lacy. The police reports differ. Why? Because again, like I said, the driver of the truck, I slammed on brakes, the lady behind me went over into the other lane and killed him. The lady who did the swerving said, the dude in front of me slammed on brakes and I swerved to miss him. I killed him. Their stories match. Both of them said something different, but said the exact same thing. Neither one of them want to sign a statement implementing Lacy. Why? Just let that sink in. The two people that were involved in it blamed one another, stated the exact same story from two different points of view, did not want to blame Lacy, but yet there's somebody behind them that's supposed to be accountable for the actions of the man that slammed on brakes. Yeah. And be wary of the leading. The pickup driver wasn't recorded during the entire conversation. The trooper comments indicate that he was guiding the response, and that's also a red flag, because again, why is the trooper coaching someone that was involved in an accident that is coherent? He's already given you a story. He's already given you his version, which is, again, the exact same version that the person around him gave. Consider the contact and patterns. Green's cover-up is a reminder that police have misled the public before, and we should remain especially vigilant in the in any fatal on-duty scenario from the Louisiana State Police. It is a pattern of behavior, because every person accused of a crime deserves a fair analysis of the facts. Right now, there is video and a DA report suggesting Lacy might never have known he had even had a role in the crash. Notice what I just said. There's video, video, witness statements, and the district attorney, and a special prosecutor, and a partridge in a pear tree that says something different than the police have said, that they wrote down on paper, that ESPN followed up on. He's innocent. Lacy is innocent. Kyren Lacy was innocent. He deserves to have his name cleared and not overshadowed by a rush to judgment. And if his case was mishandled, which it was, the next accident could cost someone else their life for no reason. Because I always tell people the most dangerous thing to a good cop is a bad one. And the acceptance of blue wall culture, the no snitching, that's the problem. Because if you, I'm gonna give you something and then I'm gonna start closing this. The one thing I would never want is a yes man. Anybody that never confronts me on anything that I'm doing, especially when I know at times I can become a lot much. I can become over aggressive. I can act because again, I am a hammer. So every situation I'm in, it's a nail. I'm just I'm ready to go. I even spoke about the encounter that I had with a police officer. He came and grabbed my arm. My instinct was to turn around and hit him in the throat. The young man at my apartment building, he decided he wanted to walk down some steps and come out in the street where I'm at. I punched him in his head. Why? Because I am a hammer. Are those always great ideas? No. They feel good at the time. But anyone that does not have autonomy to correct the shit that I'm doing, I don't need them around me. And when you have the blue wall culture, when you cannot chastise your brother or sister to correct their behavior, you are then accepting their behavior. Because when they talk about spare the rod, spoil the child, that's all they are. They're grown children with problems that have no idea what limits are, and which is why you should go out and challenge everything they do, every time they do it, and then hold them accountable when they don't do it correctly. Why? Because their brother's not going to do it. The sister's not going to do it. Anybody around them, they don't have anybody around them that gives a shit about them. And when you accept someone's word without any question, each and every time they do something, you are a problem because you do not care about them. When you rush to judgment without getting facts, and no matter what they do, they can do no wrong, you are their greatest level of detriment. You are the problem. And until you can actually see that and accept it, this will continue because most people have no clue of the things that they're doing. They're thinking just because I don't want to yell at them because I don't want to hurt their feelings. Not hurting their feelings is going to cost them something greater later. Because if you're not built to chastise them for the wrong that they're doing, then you are not their friend, you don't care about them, and you are allowing them to go into the worst parts of themselves. Now, again, I want to go into the acknowledge of the loss of Herman Hall. That was the man that was killed in this accident. I want to acknowledge it because, again, we're having these conversations and we're not using names. I want to say his name, Herman Hall. That was the 78-year-old who tragically lost his life in this. And a tragedy for his family. And to honor that, we must speak the actual truth of what happened. What we have uncovered is that Kyren Lacy was publicly accused based on a shaky narrative that is flat out a lie. There is nothing else that we can say about it. The actual facts on video do not coincide with what Trooper Tyler Warner stated. A witness who saw the crash with his own eyes refused to lie. You know, the one that the trooper attempted to coach on video. He walked off from it. Why? Because he was not suborning perjury. It's on video. A state trooper is on camera drafting a version of events. And Louisiana's own investigators say the evidence does not even support the claim that Lacy caused the accident. Their team. They said it. The only ones going with this is the police. Everyone else that has a brain is saying the troopers, along with Tyler Warner, lied because the facts don't fit what you wrote. That is a lie. This case highlights why we must fight back and challenge every assertion, especially from Louisiana state troopers. We owe it to ourselves and everyone else to hold all of us to the highest standard of truth. Jurors, viewers, concerned citizens, and don't let uncomfortable narratives go unspoken, because you need to accept something that you were programmed with your entire life. Just because someone tells you this person in a uniform is good and honest does not make them good or honest. Just because you've been told that these are intelligent people, I've got other things that have told me in writing that these are not intelligent people. I've watched other things that tell me in writing a judge's decision saying these people have low comprehension ability. Malloy v. Hogan. I'm going to go question everything because this is not about law. This case is evidence of it. He attempted to create a narrative. He put so much stress on this boy to where he unalived himself. And with this evidence, the family should, in all accounts, go after not only Louisiana state troopers, but Tyler Warner and any supervisor that okayed this mess for wrongful death in their individual capacity. Because they caused all of this. Because we can speculate about Kyren's causation. We can prove theirs without a shadow of a doubt. Because when we look at the actual footage, we listen to the actual statements, it doesn't match what the police were saying. Lacy can no longer speak for himself. The only voices here are the troopers and a few officials. And we must ensure that those voices reflect reality, not bias. Stand up for scrutiny, demand transparency, question inconsistencies, and insist on justice. Because everybody deserves a defender. And in situations like this, we all must become our own advocates. Stay alert, stay critical, and don't accept the first story that's told to you. And I will be back later.